I'd like to call to order the Clarkston Independence District Library Board of Trustee meeting for August 14th, 2017. The meeting is called to order at 6:03. We'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Jan Gaffney. Here. Michelle Van absent. Dan Green.
Here.
Mary Hemberg.
Here.
Allison McFadden-Keeson. Here. Marilyn Pomeroy.
Here.
Ann Rose.
Here.
Here.
Okay, I'll accept a motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Been moved and seconded. Any questions? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Call to the public. Hello, public.
Hi there. Three things relative to Friends of the Library tonight. One is, as you know, our fall book sale is coming up the end of next month, the end of September. We're a little low on signs, so we're looking at ordering some new ones, possibly considering a new design, so we're working on that right now. Secondly, we recently, the library actually recently had a call from somebody who had a large donation of books and wanted to know if somebody would be able to pick them up. They said there were about 100 of them, and the library passed it on to friends, and so one of our board members went to get these 100 books, which actually turned out to be 600 to 700, and we're in the basement. And that is a challenge for us. We don't really have enough folks that can lug lots and lots of books. Plus, we have storage constraints. We're already packed with the books that people bring to us. So, discussed it at our meeting, and the board decided that we would ask the library in the future when folks call to just say, I'm sorry, thank you for thinking of us, but we don't have the resources to pick those up. So wanted you to be aware of that in case anybody mentions that to you as well. And then third and finally, hope you got your invitation to our open house for the quilt display for our Michigan authors and illustrators. It will be September 9th, which is a Saturday from 2 to 5. Hope you'll all be able to join us. We will have refreshments, and there'll be a silent auction of a few basket-themed items.
Thank you. You're welcome. Any other questions, concerns? All right, we'll close the call to the public, and I'll accept a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
So moved. I'll second.
Does anyone wish to review any of the 5 items? No. If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Okay, library statistics.
Tracy, our head of Children's and Teen Services, sent me a little report, so you don't have to just look at boring old numbers tonight. She wanted me to let you know that there were 502 kids registered for summer reading. That's up from 361 last year.
Wow.
There are 151 teens, which is holding pretty stable. Last year we had 156, so it was right in the same range. She attributes to having such an increase in the number of kids because the schools, a number of the schools actually brought the kids here to visit for school visits instead of us going to the schools. And so we're hoping to do that again next year. That was very successful. They actually bused the kids over. We took them on a tour of the library, told them all about summer reading and that. So that was much more fun than just us going over there and going classroom by classroom or doing a group.
What grade is there a particular grade that's coming?
She does elementary school.
Okay.
So she does usually K all the way through 5. So, yeah. Preschool and elementary kids logged a total of 223,561 minutes of reading this summer. with Independence Elementary reading a whopping 41,536 of those minutes. So
Wow.
3 cheers for that school for topping the amount of reading. And she said that attendance at programs was great, that the registration filled up for all of the ones that had required registration, and that the turnout was great for all of the programs. So, a little bit more interesting than just the numbers.
I drove through here, was last Saturday.
Yes.
And they were doing this wonderful wall they were climbing,
Rock
and
climbing
so
wall, yeah.
much going.
Well, that's
in
where
the
that was
parking
going. I
lot.
saw it on the truck.
Very impressive.
With our summer reading finale. It's in my report, I'll talk a little bit more about it.
Okay, I
Yeah.
wondered where that was headed.
It was lots of fun.
Okay, any other significant information about statistics that we need to?
I don't think so.
Okay.
That was the excitement of the report done.
All right, the library director's report.
Okay, building and grounds. I guess I lied when I told you we weren't going to keep talking about the parking lot, but we are. In regards to phase 3 of the parking lot project, we received notification from HRC and ASI that because the sod at the southwest corner of the parking lot did not take, that they will redo that restoration sometime in September. We will not be billed for restoration until the engineer is satisfied, and it will not increase the cost or exceed the approved amount. So, just so that you know, if you happen to see, it didn't survive the summer. There's no irrigation down there, so that was sort of a losing battle from the moment they put it in. So I suggested they might want to wait until later, but they really wanted to do it when they wanted to do it, so we just let it go. So they're going to come back and do it again.
Well, hopefully, by the time we get the winter through, it'll have taken
I think
pretty well and be more.
Yeah. Well, what they did last year, they did a little bit later, and it fared better. I told them if they really wanted it to do well. Last year, the section that they did with grass seed was the section that did really, really well in the non-irrigated portions. But they really wanted to do sods. I didn't have to with them. They're the experts. So, in terms of finances, included in your board packet is the 2017 penal fine report. This year, the library received $72,020.92. Last year, we received $75,220.19. In 2015, we received $71,859.13. So while this year is down slightly from last year, it is up from the year before and is a significant increase from the low of $41,145.62 in 2011. Project updates. The library summer reading finale event took place from 1 to 3 on Saturday, August 11th. Festivities included a rock climbing wall, as Ann mentioned, carnival games, snow cones, popcorn, and the awarding of prize baskets. And then I mentioned about the preschool and elementary kids reading 221,561 minutes. Might as well get as much mileage out of that statistic as I possibly can. We do an annual summer reading program designed to keep kids reading during the summer months to prevent summer slide. And so I feel like we did that really well this year with that much reading going on. Collaborations. On Tuesday, August 15th at 7 p.m., the library's Harwood team will facilitate a community conversation for the city of the Village of Clarkston about children's services in Depot Park. This is the second community conversation the library has facilitated regarding Depot Park. It has been a great opportunity for the city to have an open forum for public input gathered by a neutral outside entity. The library, using its Harwood training in this way, caught the attention of the Library of Michigan and the State Grant Program Coordinator at IMLS in Washington, D.C. Terry DeVoe from IMLS came for a site visit to discuss this project, and the Library of Michigan has asked us to write an article for the state library's newsletter about this project. So that's been very exciting. So all of that Harwood training has come to good use. They're interested because what we're doing is a little different. We had just open community conversations about what people wanted to talk about, but then the city had approached us and said, we'd like to talk about a specific topic. Are you willing to facilitate? I said, sure, we can try that. And it was really nice because it allowed for us to just neutrally gather the information, and the people from the city could sit and listen and be a part of the conversation without feeling like they were leading or guiding the conversation at all. So it's been really nice. I'm looking forward to that time. As mentioned by Julie, the Friends of the Library will be holding the event to unveil the Michigan Author and Illustrators quilt created by Jimmy Schultz, Betsy Travis, and Alan Reimer. It's again September 9th from 2 to 5 p.m. I won't dwell on that since she did a better job discussing it in my couple of sentences. The community-wide well-being campaign called Clarkston for Life which I mentioned the last couple meetings. We'll hold a book discussion on the resilience factor Thursday, August 17th at 7 p.m. Copies of these titles are available at the library through our downloadable service Overdrive and on the library's Kindles that are available for checkout. This campaign is still unfolding, so you can learn more by visiting the campaign's Facebook page at facebook.com/ClarkstonForLife. And last but certainly not least, the library has been collaborating with Clarkston Community Schools in an effort to issue public library cards to all students in the district. This will provide access to all of our online resources as well as physical materials available in the building. We hope to do this by starting with a pilot program of school-wide distribution at one elementary and working our way through the school district, school by school, demonstrating our resources to teachers throughout the district so that they may share with their students is another piece of this large-scale project. In addition, we have spoken to the school about re-implementing the interlibrary loan of public library materials to students through the schools. In other words, students could request public library materials by stopping by the media center to request them, and it would be delivered to their school to be picked up just a few days later. This expands the materials that the school is able to offer and assists students who may not be able to visit the public library to pick up the materials they need. This was a very successful program, but budget cuts eliminated the delivery element a number of years ago. So we're excited to be connecting with students on these two projects.
Thank you. Right, on to regular business. Let's start with finances, a review of the second quarter financials.
Okay. So in front of you, you have a spreadsheet that looks like this. We're going to start on the side that has account number 403. In your packet, sometimes it's,
Yeah.
depending on how it landed back to back when I do the pencil.
Yeah, that's confusing.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, so Marilyn had asked at the budget workshop about the chargebacks. And chargebacks are any time that a taxpayer goes to board of review and has their taxes reviewed for the possibility of having them lowered for various reasons. And so chargebacks are when their taxes are lowered and you have to pay them back for that amount. So that's what we discussed at the budget workshop as well, but I just wanted to make sure. The reason that I couldn't clearly answer the question at that point was because the way that Debbie and I track it is different than the way the accountant was tracking it on the spreadsheet, and I didn't want to tell you the wrong thing. So I've spoken to the accountant, and that is indeed what it is. So she's just showing it differently here than the way we would. So, let's see. Just a couple of things that, line number 717, life insurance. 721 workers' comp, 722 short-term disability, and 723 long-term disability. All four of those are a smidge over budget. That's because when we write the budget in August and approve it in September, I don't have the actual amounts that those insurances are going to cost. So we always end up guessing or estimating. It's a guesstimate. So it looks like I'm a little bit under, and so we'll do a budget adjustment as we get closer to the end of the year, but just so that you know, that's why those particular numbers are just a little bit off. We're not over budget at this time, but I can see that by the end of the year, we're going to need to make some adjustments to that. Going on to the next page, insurance number 910. That's another one of those that we estimate it. Usually what happens is, it usually comes in at about just under $18,000. It came in at $18,200 this year. We've paid everything out, so we'll make a slight budget adjustment for that. We actually end up getting a reimbursement later in the year, and so before we make a budget adjustment, I'm going to check with our accountant and make sure we're not going to just put it right back in that line item, or if she tracks that somewhere else, I don't remember. So I just wanted to let you know that I do see that. It's not a big concern. We can make that slight correction. I highlighted 931 building and grounds maintenance. We always have to keep a real close eye on that one. We are a little over budget at this time. And that one's always a tough one because that includes snow plowing and salting and things like that. And while we didn't do a lot of snow plowing at the beginning of this season, we did a lot of salt. I don't know if you remember January and February, but it was icy it would be icy in the morning, and then it would rain around lunchtime, and then it would freeze after it would get dark, and our guy was here salting a lot. So if we have a milder beginning to winter this year, which we would all love, that might balance us back out. But we may end up having to do a budget adjustment as we get closer to the end of the year. I'm not real concerned about that, but I thought I would mention that I have noticed it. Technical services, number 740.2. I'm not real worried about that one. That's another one of those lines that you don't spend evenly over the course of the year. It's the supplies that they use for processing materials. And you'll remember that our head of technical services has been recasing DVDs. So he's been buying a lot at the beginning of the year, but he's finished up that project, so I have a feeling now his spending will slow down, and so by the end of the year, we should be right on target with that. And then the same thing with the equipment budget. We've spent a little more than half for the year, but that one is one of those line items where, you do a big project and suddenly you spent more than it looks like, and that was the point of sale system. So he bought all of that, but we don't have anything else to buy for that project. So the rest of it, we would probably be on target for his normal purchasing. Any questions or concerns about anything in the budget?
No.
No?
Anyone else?
Okay, I think we're doing really well.
Yeah, looks like.
We're always in favor of doing well in terms of the budget. All right, number 2, an update regarding the audit firm and approval of engagement letter.
Okay, we received 3 letters from Aaron Stevens, who has been the principal auditor on the library's accounts. This series of letters informs us that our current auditing firm, Abraham and Gaffney PC, is splitting into 2 separate entities. One will handle taxes, and one will be known, which will be known as Abraham and Gaffney PC, and the other will handle audits and employ the staff that has been conducting our audits, and will be known as Stevens, Karinovic, and Tucker PC. We have 1 year remaining in our engagement letter with the previous firm, Abraham and Gaffney PC. Aaron Stevens has informed us through these 3 letters that the firm of Stevens, Karinovic, and Tucker PC would like to honor the same price and parameters of the remainder of our contract, and is asking the library board to consider approving this engagement letter for the remainder of the previous agreement. And as we always note, Library Board Treasurer Janice Gaffney is not related directly or by marriage to anyone in Abraham and Gaffney firm or the new Stevens, Karinovic, and Tucker.
This will be easier.
This will be easier at the very, very least, yes. We don't have to say that anymore.
Okay.
The cost of engaging Stevens, Karinovic, and Tucker will be the same as the previous engagement letter with Abraham and Gaffney, and the 2017 audit will be led and conducted by the same team as when we were a client with Abraham and Gaffney. And in terms of execution of the library's audit, as Aaron said, this is simply a change on the letterhead.
Same people.
Same people,
Yes.
yep, same people, different names.
All right, I'll accept a motion.
I move to approve the engagement letter with Stevens, Karinovic, and Tucker PC as presented, and authorize the library director to sign on behalf of the library.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the engagement letter. Any questions or comments? This should make things easier. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried.
Thank you very much. I will let Aaron know that. Okay.
Update regarding the public hearing.
At the July meeting, the library board decided they would send representatives to Independence Township's public hearing regarding the Satchel Road Corridor Improvement Authority when the date was set. The library received a certified letter announcing the public hearing will be Tuesday, August 22nd, 2017 at 6 p.m. at Independence Township Hall. So the library board needs to decide who wants to go. I of course will go.
I'll be
but-
out of town, so
Okay.
I will not be.
And I won't be available.
I'm sorry. And I'm also not available on either.
Well, that's
Either
narrowing it
will.
down, Ann.
Narrowing it down.
That really happened quickly. What was that date again?
Tuesday, August 22nd at 6 p.m.
I guess,
Okay, yeah.
it looks good
Yeah,
with you.
yeah.
Ann and I will go with you.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
township meeting.
And then you have until, I believe, November 7th to make a determination about what to do. So you've got a couple of meetings to figure that out.
The meeting is August 22nd.
Yep, Tuesday, August 22nd at 6 PM at Town Hall.
All right. I bet you all planned your vacations intentionally.
No.
Oh, it's the eclipse. The eclipse. What I'm
I
going
think so.
for.
We'll find out. Okay, number 4, approval of a resolution establishing our regular meetings for 2018.
Okay, I'm going to go up and put it on the screen so we can look at dates. Here, I just look again. I guess the first question is, do we still like Monday night?
I think we're all trained.
Yes. And do we still like 6 o'clock?
6 was great for me.
Great, okay.
It's fine for me.
Okay. So in January, you could do the 8th, the 22nd, or the 29th.
All right, now, in January, we have to elect officers.
Yep.
How soon do we need to do that?
You could do it as, well, you can do it whenever you have your meeting. We usually try to have that January meeting a little bit early. Maybe the 8th, if that works out for everyone.
I could do that.
Does that sound okay?
Sure. Is that the 8th?
January 8th? Okay.
Are we doing the dates for the?
Yes.
Yep, for 2018.
I didn't get her.
January
Okay.
8th,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
January 8th.
Okay, in February, it looks like the 5th, the 12th, or the 26th. The 19th is President's Day.
How much time do we need to get reports?
That's early enough in the year that it probably doesn't matter so much. It's usually about the middle of the year. She likes it to be mid-month,
A little
a
later.
little bit later. So yeah, if you're liking the 12th, then that's fine. The 19th is President's Day, so you obviously don't want to do that, but maybe the 12th?
Sure.
Yeah, the 26th feels really late.
It does feel really late, doesn't it? Maybe the short ones.
Yeah, so.
Okay. So that goes to March.
Look how full that's getting already.
I know, well, that's why we do this. I almost felt bad, we should have done it last month, but, okay. So the 5th is already taken, so we have the 12th, the 19th, and the 26th in March.
How about the 12th?
Yeah, can't we make that 12,000?
Okay, works for me. April. April looks like the 2nd, the 9th, or the 16th. The 23rd is going to be book sale, so.
The 16th, then you don't want to have it too early.
Yeah, 16th?
Because by that time, you're at the end of the
Right,
quarter.
Yeah.
when is Easter?
Easter.
April 1st,
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah, April 1st.
According to my calendar.
Okay.
So the 16th, is that what it is?
Mhm, Yep.
16?
Okay. Okay, May, 7, 14, or 21. Doesn't matter to me.
14, since
14?
we're doing teams.
Okay, sounds good to me. Works for me. Now, June is tight because already they're loading in summer reading 2018. So they have swiped the 11th, the 18th, and the 25th. So how do you feel about June 4th?
The 11th isn't that at 10 a.m.?
It's not actually, it says summer reading kickoff. It says 10 a.m., but it will be in the evening. It'll be
Okay.
6 to 8. So the school gets out really early this year because they're starting before Labor Day. So.
That's not gonna be a problem with the accountant, if we go that early.
Well, do any of us have any graduates?
She probably won't have your quarterly report, but then again, we didn't do the second quarter, we didn't do the second quarter report. So what is this, this is August, so we could do it in July.
Okay, all right, but I mean, 4th is fine.
Okay.
Okay, June 4th.
Right.
Maybe July 4th.
No, we don't. July, it looks like the 2nd, the 16th, or the 30th. Maybe the 16th would get us back on track.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. August 6th, 13th, 20th, or 27th?
Any of them look good to me.
13?
13th? Okay. Sounds good to me. September 10, 17, or 24? Oh, not the 24th, they're supposed to. 10 or 17?
You want to go with the 17th?
Yeah, because mostly we have been in the teen vicinity, so the 17th is good.
Okay. October 1st, 8th, 15th, 22nd, or 29th?
15th?
I might as well do the 15.
Sounds good to me. November 5th, 12th, 19th, or 26th?
What was the second one?
The 12th, 5, 12, 19, 26.
Keeping second
Yeah,
right?
nice Thanksgiving week.
Oh, yeah, that's, yeah.
The 19th would be Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, so that's generally not great for people, so the
Right.
12th is.
The 12th is fine.
Okay, sounds good. And December 10, 17. We don't want to do Christmas Eve.
No.
Would you rather go for earlier, 10?
10?
for me.
That's a good time. Yeah.
17th is my mother's birthday.
Earlier, we don't,
She'll probably be in Florida, so it won't really happen.
Oh, okay. We should go down to Florida this year then. All right, so the dates that we have selected are January 8th, February 12th, March 12th, April 16th, May 14th, June 4th, July 16th, August 13th, September 17th, October 15th, November 12th, and December 10th. Okay?
Now, of course, you have to get those on before someone else.
Well,
Signs up and
once you
everything.
vote, I can pick them off, so. Word has spoken.
All right, I'll accept a motion.
This one does require a roll call as well, just call your attention to that.
Do we need to read the entire resolution or?
No,
Okay.
they don't make us do that.
Okay. I move that we approve the resolution establishing the regular meetings as presented.
Second. Okay, it's been approved, a motion has been made and seconded to approve the resolution setting our 2018 meeting schedule. Please call roll.
Jane Gaffney,
Yes.
Dan Green,
Yes.
Mary Kimber,
Yes.
Allison McDevitt-Kiesling,
Yes.
Marilyn Pomeroy,
Yes.
Ann Rose.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, number 5. Number 5 is the review and approval of the library director performance review plan. This is referencing back to last month when we discussed employee review plans.
So last month, the library board had a chance to review and provide feedback regarding the employee performance review plan. In tandem, the library director and library board president have been developing a library director review plan. This has been done using samples from other libraries and coordinating it with the employee performance review plan now in place. Since the library director is an employee of the library board needs to approve and determine a timeline to execute the proposed plan.
The proposed plan is on the back of the item. Actually, it's a couple pages.
Yes.
And all the forms and everything.
What does that mean, September to the end of the year?
It just means that you would plan it sometime in that window. So it doesn't have to be a particular month, but sometime between in the fall.
I liked the format.
Yeah, well, we liked it.
I think the idea was to keep it in a similar format
Yeah.
to the employee plan.
Yeah.
Partly because when Julie and I were discussing this, it's important that we, the board, as the employers, go over it. But it's also important to get input from the staff.
Yeah, and
And
I
work
liked
with
the
Julie
way
in
that
a
was,
different
I liked the
perspective.
way the input from the staff was folded into this. And I liked that each individual board member gets an opportunity to have input. So I think it's a good plan. Good work.
Yes.
Actually, the staff did a lot of the work because they were the ones who did all the research. You hate to reinvent the wheel. And
Oh, I know, because other people out there are doing what we
They're
need
doing
to do,
it.
absolutely, that's,
they've had a chance to check it out.
Yeah.
And for both plans, the goal was not to use these as a, what is the right term? A disciplinary measure. If a disciplinary issue comes up, it should not be, it should be addressed at the time and not let it drag on if there is a disciplinary issue. So these issues are for the improvement of the function of the library in supporting the community.
but not only is it not disciplinary, but it also appears not to be tied to any potential pay increases. It's a totally separate issue. We're not talking about
Right.
that along with it. And again, I like that because then it focuses on what we want it to focus on, which is staff development and improvement. So I think it's good. I think it was a good job to put that together.
Yes, I think you did a very good job. So the goal is that then during the fall, we will hand out the forms so that we can do our part and the subcommittee can get together. So if that's acceptable, and there are no other questions, then we'll accept a motion.
I move that we approve the library director performance review plan as presented.
Allison.
It was kind of a three-way tie.
It means they like it, that's a good thing.
And we'll try it this year. As with the employees, if it passes, we'll try it, tweak it, see how things go
Right.
before we start putting these things in a digital format. All right, any other questions or comments?
Yeah, the one or two other members, is that the staffing committee, or are you going to appoint the subcommittee, or is there already
We
one that I don't
we
know
can
about?
create a subcommittee for evaluation,
Yeah,
and I think we can do that in September.
because I would like to be on that.
Okay.
So
So,
I would also be interested in that.
oh, good, volunteers. So,
And then Mickey.
Yes, and she's not here.
okay. All right.
I don't think we have a vote yet.
We had not, yes, that was his comment. Any other, we do remember to have to keep this to a subcommittee of 3, so
Right.
we don't call a
Yeah.
meeting.
Right.
All right.
So Mickey's off the hook.
Any other comments or questions? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is carried. All right. Number 6, thanks, winter.
Right, we're breezing right through this. We're doing a good job.
Okay, so it's time, despite the fact we don't want to admit that it's time, to bid out the snow plowing contract for the 2017-2018 season. So I have the RFP in your packet, including the aerials. For where we place the snow and how we prioritize the snow and all of those pieces and parts.
Is this essentially formatted the same way that we've done previous
It's the exact same one we
I
did
thought it
before,
was
but I
too.
updated all the dates.
It looks familiar.
Yeah, I did add, when we bid it out the last time, we hadn't been doing that secondary snow, the secondary priority,
Right.
because when we separated from the township wasn't doing the safety path. That was standard practice. And so that first year after, we had somebody who requested that we do that, and so we actually ended up bidding that out separately, or adding it onto the contract, I guess I should say, we bid it out separately. So this time I wrote it into the RFP that that's included, and basically what we do is we have them do all the priority areas first, which is the parking lot and the sidewalks at the entrance, and then you'll see in the aerial, the part that's highlighted in pink is the part that would be done after all of those priorities, first priority areas are clean, or at the end of a major snow event, because if there's no school, there's nobody walking down that safety path. So, I mean, if it's bad enough that they call school, usually people stay in. So that's how we prioritize that secondary area, that we do want it done, but we don't want it done instead of doing the steps and the walk and driveway paths.
And the only question I had was, you'll notice that the snow collection area, one of them is exactly where the recycling bin is currently sitting.
So the engineer said that we should leave the recycling bin where it is through the summer months while the asphalt cures. So we can move it back to where it was over here this fall. Or I can move the snow collection area, it makes no difference to me.
And it makes no difference to me.
So who would move it?
I would call the recycling company and see if they would do it. If they are unavailable to come out, I suspect I could probably talk our trash company into moving it for me. Or I could talk to the engineer and see if ASI would come out and move it back, because they're the ones who moved it. So.
Has anyone commented on whether or not it's harder or easy? I haven't brought any recycling.
The staff likes it a little bit closer. So they were kind of hoping I'd move it back sooner rather than later.
That's somebody.
That's somebody. That is
Well,
somebody.
I use it.
I do too, but I haven't used it
twice in
lately.
the new location.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter to me.
I've noticed
I did too
that
use it in the new location. Yeah, it didn't.
at the old location, it's a little easier to get around to the far side of it. Like if you want to, sometimes you notice the one side gets full.
Yeah, because
then
that's
the
the
other
easy side to get to,
It's a
yeah.
little harder to get to the other side where it currently is.
I think if it's easier for the staff, let's move it.
Okay.
Okay. So let's ask them to move the recycling bin back where it was.
Okay.
But let's wait just a little bit longer on that because it
Yeah,
probably isn't full
later.
period.
It's going to take me a little time to figure out who I can get to move it, so I suspect. I
Before
can-
snow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Then we
I
won't
think we have some time to play with there.
I'm hoping so. You never know, it is Michigan.
So the cost for this was just a push.
Yeah, we did a push, and that's the way we've been doing it, and that seems to work out pretty well for
Yes.
us.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's better, more better for us than it is probably for the contractor. And that could,
It depends, because this last year, because he was doing salting per application, he made out really well. Because
Yeah.
He didn't lose money salting us. But the year
Right.
before, when there was less snow, it's just,
It's a seasonal.
it's a
toast.
toss-up. It's a toss-up. So, I think by the end of the season, he was starting to feel bad because he was here so much, but you gotta do what you gotta do. so.
right. And as long as it's done, then I don't have any problem paying for it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, right.
All right, I'll accept a motion.
I move that we approve the RFP for snow plowing for 2017 and 2018 as presented.
A second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the RFP for snow plowing as presented. Any other comments or questions? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, number 7, review and approval of professional development proposal.
The Business and Marketing Librarian would like to attend a 2-day conference on library marketing that will take place in Dallas, Texas. While the library does not usually fund out-of-state conferences due to cost, the Library of Michigan has a stipend available. The Business and Marketing Librarian has applied for the stipend, and if awarded, would like approval to attend the conference. And since it's out-of-state travel, we would need the board to be okay with that. He does talk about the stipend in here, and just to clarify in terms of cost, the stipend for out-of-state events provides up to $1,600, which should cover the complete cost of the trip. So it would end up costing the library nothing but $70 for 2 days, should we get that.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
Get to one.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a,
It looked like a good event for him, and there's no cost to us, then that's good for us. And he did mention in his request that that the state requires him to give a presentation to staff, but he would be willing to give one to the board. I certainly would like to hear that if.
Okay.
Especially since this is one of our priorities, was providing business library services.
Right.
And so it's been moving along
Uh-huh.
now under our two business librarians, so, yeah.
Well, I think too, when we were looking at the millage, that was one of the big things that every committee that I was on that had anything to do with the millage, that was one of the issues, was how, we have to find a way to market ourselves, to get ourselves out there. So I think this is great.
Looks like a really good conference.
It is, doesn't
And he's
it?
very excited about it.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think it would be very proud to, the staff and the board too, to hear that, because we're all marketers in our own
Right.
relationships.
So that would be good. So his presentation, would he be presenting like at one of the state events?
I would suspect what it requires is that he should be doing a presentation to the staff. So
Okay.
he would do at either one of our all-staff meetings or at our all-staff training day. Now, this would be after, so it would be next year's all-staff training day, or he could do a staff meeting for the entire staff, or he could do a special presentation for particular staff if there was a group of staff that wanted more in-depth knowledge on what he had gone to see. But I did make a note that you would like a presentation after the conference, for the board, so you can hear about what you learned.
Any questions? Okay, I'll accept the motion.
I move to approve the proposal for professional development for the business and marketing librarian as presented.
Second.
And it's been moved and seconded that we approve the professional development proposal. Any other comments or questions? Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll hope that
Fingers crossed.
fingers will be crossed and we'll be able to attend. All right, number 8, the review and approval of library design.
Okay, I'm going to come by with some final numbers for you. You've got the proposals in your packet. This is just a little spreadsheet of each project individually and the alternates. And my computer, there we see. Okay, so the first proposal that we want to talk about is we'll talk about these in tandem. So what we're going to talk about is there we go. We're going to talk about the computer lab, which is this adult computer lab right here. This is the library's driveway over here. This is the bank of windows. This is the adult computer lab that is currently set up with a dozen small individual desks, all facing this direction, with individual computers on them. And what we're finding is that, and we've talked about this at a couple of the other meetings, that this room is getting used less and less because people are using their own devices. So we're talking about revamping this space. We're also talking about revamping this space, which is the adult seating area. what we would like to do in this area is change out these tables, run wires through the floors to each individual table so that people can plug in their devices, because we have one plug here and one plug here and a plug way over here. And there's one on the floor like right there. Not a lot of plugs when you're talking about people plugging in devices. Okay, so the first thing that we're talking about in this room is, you can see by this drawing, these would be tables that daisy chain together electronically so that devices can be plugged in. They are easily moved, they're on wheels. If we need them out of the way, you actually push them up against the wall, flip them upright so that they're flat to the wall instead of sticking out like these do.
So like a Murphy bed.
So just like a Murphy bed, yes. So this room would be very, very adjustable, so that we could revamp it. Now, the whole goal in doing that is to make this more like a small meeting room, a technology-based meeting room. So not only could we do things like still use it on a regular basis for people using computers, but we could also use it for, say, a Minecraft event for kids, makerspace type events by just rearranging the tables, putting in laptops and other kinds of computers, and making this a much more flexible space. So it has the potential for being a small meeting room. And what we're hearing again and again and again is the community needs more meeting space. So that should address that problem. As well as we're seeing less usage of the computers in this room in that way. We're seeing much more individual devices being used out in this area, and the big complaint is that there's not enough plugs. So, having said all that, these are the tables that we're looking at, and essentially this would be a four-legged table. What we have right now are tables with panel sides. So they're very, very large tables, but this whole side is wood and this whole side is wood. So you can only sit on this side and this side. So as big as it is, you could potentially seat 6 or 8 of the tables, except that you can't tuck in on this side because they're wood. So what we're proposing is a table that would be 4 legs. It would have aprons along these sides to make them nice and sturdy. It would be a wood apron as opposed to this laminate apron. They will be laminate tops so that they will hold up well. We're going to take off this, not put these metal, the decorative element, and it just costs a little extra. So we're going to have it take them right off, so the wood would go all the way to the bottom, and it would still have the standard feet on it. And then it would have, each of the tables would have a 5th leg up the middle that would secure the wiring. And it would come up from the floor. Now, how are we going to do this, you may ask? What we are going to do is we are going to run electrical wire through the floor. It's a special system. It will come from this plug and run underneath the floor under these tables. And then the other one will run actually under the floor from this area underneath the tables. It actually only goes up about that much, and they have it graded. All they do is lift up our existing carpet tiles, lay down the flooring, put the carpet tiles back down, and it creates a very, very tiny bump. The Romeo District Library has this, and they absolutely love it. It's worked out really, really well for them. They have the same kind of problem that we do, an older building that just doesn't have enough plugs for modern technology. So that's how we would handle that. And then these tables would have the wiring going right at the center in order to make the plugs on the tabletop in the middle very easily accessible.
So you go crawling under the table.
No crawling under the table, no wires on the floor. So you'll notice we have these 2 square tables. These are smaller 2-person tables by the windows. We currently have very large tables here and smaller tables over here. What we're seeing is smaller groups of people, usually 1 or 2 people, like to sit by these windows. Larger groups like to sit over here, so we're going to swap these out. We'll put smaller tables on this end, larger tables on this end. These will all be rectangular. Now, because they have an apron on them, this makes the tables very, very sturdy because they are larger tables, but it does not make them ADA compliant because this little apron that makes it sturdy isn't high enough. So in order to respond to that, the round tables will not have an apron. They are small enough that they don't need the apron in order to be nice and sturdy. Same kind of thing. It would be 4 legs without the little accents. No point in paying extra for a little bit of frou-frou. Fifth leg up the middle will allow for the electronics to be right, easily accessible. And because it's rounded and because of the legs being far enough apart, this is an ADA accessible table.
The leg in the middle does not impact if somebody's pulling
Nope.
under it in a wheelchair?
No, it will be ADA compliant.
All right.
So you'll see there will be 4 nice rounds that will be ADA compliant. And then we'll have these bigger tables on the sides there.
So how many people do we think could actually sit in that area at a time?
Well, what we will be gaining, because we have the 2 really big tables right now, and we're basically putting in the same amount of seating, number of tables. It looks like the same amount of seating, but it's actually more seating because you can actually put people on these ends, which we've not been able to do. What we have is people,
Right.
these big tables are over here, and so we'll have like 1 or 2 people sitting at these great big tables, and then there's a round over here, and we'll have like 8 people crammed around a tiny little table. So this should really free it up. We're seeing this is closer to the teen area. The teens are wanting to sit in this area over by their own materials. Individuals are sitting by these windows, so we're trying to basically put in tables that fit with the patterns that we're seeing of how people are using the space. Okay? Okay. Now let's talk about chairs. So I think you may have noticed that the chairs we have in this room are actually in pretty good shape. We have these same style of chairs out in the public seating area, but people do lean them back. And once you lean them back because of the way they're a sleigh style chair, there's no support in that. It makes them springy and comfortable to sit in. But once they've gotten bent, it does compromise the metal, and you can't just bend them back. So we're looking at a good sturdy wooden chair with 4 legs and something that is padded. We are to the point with the chairs out in the other room that we have foam coming through. The upholstery in these are holding up a little better, but the ones out there definitely, in terms of double rubs, are not.
They're getting a lot more
They are.
consistent use, so.
Well, they are original to the building as well, so everything in that area is from 1992. So we've really worked them hard.
That's a long time for chairs
It's
to
a
last.
long time for
when-
public furniture,
Yeah.
yeah, for commercial public furniture, yeah. So these are the chairs that we're looking at. We think they're a nice, simplistic, stable style. They do have this double interlocking framing underneath to make sure that they're nice and strong, so you don't have to worry about that if somebody does tip them, as people often do. We don't want them to, but if they do tip them back, that we're not going to be breaking off legs and things like that.
And so we like the fact that we like the ones without the armrest.
Yes, because they would be more ADA compliant, so.
But how about getting, for some people, those chairs with arms open would be helpful
For getting up and down.
for getting up and down.
Oh, I suppose we could get some. When I talked to them, they didn't mention that. Are you,
Well, they'll all be by a table, so you can, although sometimes it is easier to push from here.
That's what I'm speaking from recent experience.
Okay.
Yeah, when you tend to go up like that, you want to balance,
Yeah.
push down.
Yeah, because if you're
And
leaning
it
forward
doesn't
and
take
pushing
much,
that.
it just takes being in the right place. And sometimes a chair with no arms, well, you could make that work too. Either way, it depends on the size of the person and all the other elements, but,
I think that what you would find out if you had a mixture, people would be using one style or the other, and then if it was the style, like, say, everybody, oh, I like this one with the arms, regardless of if that's why they want it, and then somebody would come along that wanted the arms to push up with, and they still would have a chair with arms. We haven't had any, none of those chairs out there now have arms, right?
okay.
I'm just trying to think, because that's a good point.
Were you thinking of fabrics or no fabrics, or what were you thinking?
it's this circled upholstered chair that we're looking at. We do need them. We have some oak chairs in the building already.
hard.
People hate them, they're hard.
Yes.
So we would like to do something soft, and you'll see from the spreadsheet that I handed out, in terms of the seating area, I'm recommending the tables and chairs. The main price is $22,050 for all of the tables and chairs. I'm adding alternate number 3, which is, I'm sorry, looking at the lab. Tables, chairs, and electrical is $43,513. The alternate number 2, fabric treatment, would be $944 for all the chairs that are over there. This is a high wear and tear double rub fabric, but this special treatment will make them more
Sturdy or more?
water resistant, to make sure that they bead water,
Mhm.
so that they're easier to clean. So I thought that was probably worth the investment. We've gotten a lot of years out of our current chairs.
That's what I was thinking,
Right.
actually.
Yep.
Our fabrics have been, I mean, I know they're getting old, but the fabrics
Have
have
held,
made
really.
a little more comfort, I think, overall.
Yep. We didn't want to go with a vinyl, though. We've had some vinyl furniture in the past, and the patrons don't like that either, so.
No, I don't blame them.
Yeah,
So,
so.
yeah, moisture block, I think is a good idea.
A
Yeah.
moisture block we thought was a good idea. Now, we are working with Library Design Associates. They've done a lot of libraries over the course of the last 3 decades, and they didn't mention armchairs, but I can ask if you'd like me to talk to them about.
It might be worth asking to see if
Okay.
that's been an issue. I mean, I get why you certainly don't want to go with all armchairs, because you wouldn't have
No,
ADA issues.
I'm just thinking of, just to consider the fact that we might like some armchairs.
Yeah.
So if a person wanted one, they could find one.
Well, we do have some other chairs in the building,
Okay.
but I can ask them.
Yeah, I'm curious to see whether or not.
If they've done a lot of these, they'll have.
I don't know what the
Still have
price,
some
I don't know what the price difference is at this time.
I'm sure it's more.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure it's more, but I mean, I don't know how much more. That,
And would it fit under the table? Well,
well, they would be, they might only fit under the round tables. I don't know. I'd have to ask if they would fit under the aprons tables or not.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, so,
Well, we do have in the design, we do have 4 rounds going in. So I can ask them.
I think the round tables are really very, very nice. Nice change.
Mhm.
People.
so we should be able to accommodate various activities.
Yeah.
I think so.
Different reasons.
Yep. Okay, any other questions about that one? Okay, so the recommendation that we're making is for the adult computer lab would be the tables and chairs at $22,050. Alternate number 3 in terms of electrical would be the removal of we have poles in there that have electrical running through them. The electrician is going to be here already doing the electrical in the floor for the adult area. So this is actually a pretty reasonable amount of money to have them take that part out as well and remove those poles. We won't need them anymore since the tables daisy chain together. And then alternate number 5, the removal of the furniture. Those 12 computer desks, I don't know if you've done it and looked at them, I probably should have taken some pictures and put them here. They are literally falling apart. They are beyond their usable life, and so I think we need to have them recycled.
So we got new computers.
We got new computers, but we did not
didn't get
touch
new
the
tables.
furniture. We did
Right.
not touch the furniture. That furniture is from, since before I was the director, so 2004 probably, maybe.
So approaching 15 years.
Yeah, we've had those for quite a long time.
which again, for furniture in a public area
Mhm.
is,
Yeah,
Yep.
that's really good.
okay.
So I'm recommending the removal of that, have them just take it away for us. For the adult seating area, the tables, chairs, and electrical, that's everything under the floor and putting the carpet squares back and making sure everything is glued down and back the way it's supposed to be, $43,513. Alternate number 2, the fabric treatment for $944. And alternate number 4, remove the furniture. This one I struggled with a little bit. My main concern in terms of that furniture is when they go to do that project, we literally have nowhere that we can store that much furniture when they do this project. And I don't know, based on its condition, because some of the tops are starting to delaminate and things like that, how we would easily dispose of it. So my recommendation would be to have them on their way.
dispose of it.
And then take it. So what the one project, the total will be 23,037, and the other one will be 45,027. Any questions, comments, concerns? Okay. Project number 3 will be right here in this room. This particular plan would be for right over where our nice gentleman is recording our meeting. This is the shell, or this is cabinetry to go along there. This would be, we would be taking out all of the coat racks and reducing the size of the coat rack to this portion. There would be 3 doored cabinets and then 3 small doored cabinets above the coat rack. So all of this would be enclosed storage. This particular one would not have a floor in it, so it wouldn't be a bottom shelf. It would be, when you open the doors, the bottom would be the actual carpet. And this is where we would store our sound system. Our current soundboard, this dotted line right here, is in that closet over there. We believe by moving it out here and putting it in that space, that we will free up quite a lot of space in that meeting room closet, because that box actually sticks out quite a ways. Yep. And then this would allow for things, as we talked about, our story times have outgrown our small story time room. So some of our story times take place in this room, some of them take place in the other room. This would allow them to store the things that they specifically used for this room's story times in this room. Because what happens when they're getting ready for story time is they store it all in the youth activities room. They go and they gather it all up, put it on carts, haul it all the way across the library on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays and set it up here, which means that while they're gathering it, that room's not usable. And until they get it over here, obviously this would be story time room, this room's not usable. But we do need to be able to have some meetings in the morning. So if they could store their things in this room, they would be using this room, and then that room would still be available for other meetings as well. So we're trying to solve a number of issues here, not just storage, but also in terms of meeting space. So the look of the cabinets, we're going with something very simple in design. She was having a hard time sending me pictures, but she said what she is recommending is just a basic flat front. They would be oak. They would be the parchment oak, which means they would match the chair rail that's in here, the light color. I mean, it would be different handles, but she wanted you to see that they're not, there's not inlay, they're not ornate, they're not carved. They should be really easy to keep clean. They're very simple, clean lines, should fit very nicely. So,
The less upkeep, the better.
the less upkeep, the better. Exactly.
Yeah, but the oak will look nicer in here than than a black cabinet or something
Yep,
like that, so
exactly.
that'll be
Yep.
nice.
Yep, and then what our goal is, as you know, the storage in the library, this is a sort of a multi-part process. The first thing I'm trying to do is solve some of the storage problems in the 2 meeting rooms, which means that once we can get some of the things stored in this cabinetry, we can get the tables that are under, obviously those tables can't be stored under there, they need to go into the meeting room closet where they belong, so that this room will be more open and usable and tidy. The next thing that we're working on, as we've talked about a number of times, is an outbuilding, a shed or a barn, something that would be outside, so that the things that don't need to be physically in the building, temperature controlled and humidity controlled, can be out. Book sale signs, parking lot cones, the crates and things like that that are in the closet right now that they only get used twice a year for the book sale. All those could go into that outbuilding, bring up space in here, in there, and then we'll talk more later about the possibility of compact shelving in the delivery room. Excellent. Comments, concerns?
How was all this budgeted? Did we approve it already?
Well, that's why we're here tonight. That's why I'm showing you. We've been working on this over the course of the last several months. And
Where
so
would it go?
Yeah, what line?
where would it go, or where would it come from?
Where would it come from?
Okay, where would it come from is fund balance. Remember, we talked with the auditor, and we do have 1.2 million in fund balance, and then where would it go would be in the line item for the building, which is for capital improvements.
975?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Any questions?
No.
No, it's a lot all at once.
I know it's a lot to
It addresses-
digest.
It addresses some pretty important
That's why I've been trying
issues.
to
I
bring
know.
it to you in little pieces,
I know.
talk about it a little bit. These are the actual proposals. We've gone back and forth a number of times, picking designs and furniture and whatever. Library Design Associates is the company that did our space planning in 2008. Their designer helped us to pick all of the the tables and the chairs and the fabrics to go with what we already have in place. So everything coordinates and will look very nice. So everything will look like it was intended to go together, so.
Well, and it's nice to be able to update some of that.
So this has been needed, been worked on for quite some time. How soon could this, if this were approved, how soon could they start?
They would be able to, they would have to order the furniture, but they're hoping to potentially do it if you approve it this evening, that before the end of the year. So they would be
That would be
looking
amazing.
perhaps at November. Right now they're scheduling into October, so.
So if we want it done, we better hurry up.
So I think I still don't have it in.
Put on our calendar, yeah.
Yeah.
You can do it as, you could do it as 3 separate projects, you could pick and choose, that's why I gave you a total for each project. So you could do a motion to move from fund balance to 975 and do 1, 2, or 3 projects, however you wanted to approach it. Or you could send me back to do more.
Well, these really are working as, the first two are working as pretty much a unit.
Right, because the electrical work.
Because of the electrical work and the,
Yep.
and this does not include putting the glass windows back in.
No, and I'll approach you about that later. I'm looking at a couple of different things in terms of that, heating and cooling in that room and the glass as well. Putting in glass is not a huge expense.
It's the heating and cooling.
It's the heating and cooling, but I think by reducing the number of computers in the room, we may not need to, which is why I didn't put that in as part of the proposal. I thought, well, let's see. I like to do projects in phases. Everything that you've heard me talk about is always in phases. So phase 1, let's get the tables and the chairs and see how the public uses the space. Are they wanting to still sit in that room? Is it still going to be computer lab-like, or is it really going to turn into a meeting room? I think based on the traffic patterns, we already see that that's what's going to happen, but we don't want to assume. We want to give people the opportunity to, once we put new furniture in there, maybe they'll all move back in, who knows? But my inclination, my understanding is probably that once we electrify all those tables out in the adult seating area, we'll be able to turn that space into a meeting room. At that point, I will approach you and say, let's put the glass back in the windows and let's address the issue of heating and cooling. And what I've been looking at is a small, efficient, independent unit that would just heat and cool that room. So.
Well, in terms of, they're all necessary. In terms of the staff and their work, probably finishing this area should be done right away, because they're having to haul things back and forth across the library constantly. So it would seem to me that this project should certainly be underway soon. And
I would think all 3 of them are priorities. That's why I brought them as opposed to, we've got a number of projects that have been on the table, and these 3 are probably the priority ones. And like I said, I think the storage is kind of a phased project.
right.
So we could start with
Well, we
the
need
3.
with these 3.
I think that given the amount in the fund balance, it's not really a huge financial, I mean, it is,
Right.
we're not used to having money, that kind of money in fund balance, so we're not used to like, oh yeah, let's just spend it, but ideally you don't want to keep too much in your fund balance, so.
It's intended to make improvements, and these are the improvements
Right.
that, based on the research that we've done, are the improvements the public is looking for. So.
What about if we were to do, say, 3 as a fine possibilities, then would that set back the other 2? I mean, how far?
No, I don't
We'd be
think
able
so.
to move along, you'd be able to judge as we would.
Mostly what I'm,
Constant activity, building activity within the building for the next 6 months.
part of what I'm doing is bringing you projects at the speed at which I think we can complete them. I don't like to start a whole bunch of projects we can't get done. So we've wrapped up the parking lot, and I didn't want to bring you these until I knew for sure we could handle them. When we talk about the budget in September, you'll see that I put the phone system in there, but if I can get these 3 going and underway about the time we're ready to start the phone system, say in February, March, that these projects should be wrapping up. So for the sake of my own sanity, I do try to pace them. So we don't have too many things going at the same time. And I don't like to make too much upheaval in the building.
Yes, I think that's wise. Really wise.
Do we have more questions or comments? If not, I'll accept a motion.
I'm going to try it.
All right.
I move to approve the proposals from Library Design Associates for the adult computer lab, the adult seating area, and additional storage in the community meeting room. Do I need to continue where the money comes from? Should I say also, and to move
Yes.
$78,651 from fund balance to line item 975, building improvement to cover the improvements.
And she'll hand you this. Is there a second?
I say,
Okay, thank you, well put.
Thank you.
All right.
Very well put.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the work on the adult computer lab, the adult seating area, and the meeting room cabinetry, and move the necessary, what is the amount? $78,651 from fund balance to line item 975.
Did I get those numbers right?
I think so.
Okay.
Want me to double check your math?
Yeah.
Okay. Hang on, let me grab my
Gotta go to the order.
calculator.
I just did it quickly.
Let me check these.
seems like,
It is.
He's on it already. He's quicker than I am.
Okay. Sounds right, correct?
Yep,
All right.
it is. She's good.
All right, any other comments or questions? Not, all those in favor of the
Did
resolution?
you want me to check on the chairs as well and come back with any details of that?
I think it would be worth asking them what they think and what
Okay,
they've experienced
right.
with other
And
libraries.
if necessary, we can make a further adjustment.
Okay.
There you go.
All right,
I
very
don't think
good.
we need to hold up the project
No,
while
I
we check
wouldn't
that.
hold up the whole project, but I
Okay.
think it'd be worth a question, and we may have been asked that before, and we would have an answer immediately for you.
Okay, all right, very good.
All right, all those in favor of of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Those going right
Very
away.
good.
Very exciting.
And Debbie, if you need
I'll
she
see
wanted to
Alice
check on that.
afterwards.
Make sure we got it all.
Number 9, update regarding our collaborative project with the schools.
Now, I did talk about it a little bit in my director's report, but I did want to take a few minutes just to kind of give you a little more detail about what we're thinking about doing in terms of getting library cards out to all of the students. After talking to Dr. Rock and Sean Ryan, they were very much interested in making sure all the students were connected with all of the services that we have, especially the technology-based services, the online services that we have. In order to do that, you access with your library card. And so I said, well, what we would really like to do is get library cards in the hands of the kids, and they're very much in favor of that. So the first step in that process, what we had hoped to do, and I think it's going to be something that we can execute next year, we would like for it to be a situation where we are taking library card registration at the time that the kids are registering for school. It was a little bit difficult to execute that because we had to kind of talk to a lot of different people in the school district and get all of our I's dotted and our T's crossed, and it was just too much to get done by the beginning of the school year. So what we're doing is, as I mentioned, it has the pilot program in which we're hoping to do one school at a time. We have one elementary school that is particularly interested in having us come in and educate her teachers about the various online services that we have in that. So I'm hoping that she will be our initial pilot, and I'm 99% sure she's going to jump on board with that. I have her on our meeting with her next week, so I'm really excited to talk to her about that. From there, she would be the one who would kind of give us a test run of how we do this, and then we would go school by school. We've been doing this with the early fives, and the way that we execute that is we actually have a form that the parents fill out, and they return to us, and then the way we were checking addresses, usually we do that via ID, we were mailing the cards home to the students. And if they don't get them, obviously, they didn't give us the right address. So in this particular scenario, if we were doing it through the schools, the parents would sign off that they are getting permission for the child to have a card, and then the school would provide us with that data. The school already knows that they have accurate data. So, but the parent has to release the school to give us that information. And so that's where we ran into a little bit of trouble. We need a memo of understanding in order to do it school-wide all at once at the registration and beginning of the year. So just wanted to give you an idea sort of where we were with that project. It's got a lot of moving pieces and parts, but we're going to do it school by school for this year, and then hopefully next year what we'll do is have it go into the registration packets. We'll issue the cards to the school, to the kids right out of the gate at the beginning of the school year. And then hopefully what we'll do is, as students register throughout the school year, new students come in at various times during the year, the school would go ahead and just put that in that registration packet as well and let us know when we need issue cards. So we're hoping to have a just a streamlined system by which the kids in the community will have their cards.
And they will not have to redo this every year. Once they have their card,
Nope.
they have their
Just
card.
be the new kids coming in.
Yep.
By doing it this way, you can get them involved immediately, even though you
Exactly.
can't get your whole system going, you can at least get this underway and it'll
Exactly. And it gives us a chance to kind of,
Look out any bugs.
yeah, figure out where the kinks are and that sort of
Yeah,
thing.
I think
So-
it's probably a good thing it happened this way.
I think it is too. I have to admit, we were really excited about the possibility of doing this big blanket issuance of cards and whatever, but it would have been a lot of cards all at once. And we were tripping over things like, well, okay, we've got this group of kids that already have cards, and we want to make sure that we don't overlay what they already have, because as many of you know, as overdrive users, if you already have holds, if we were to overlay that and give you a new barcode number, it would lose everything that you had before. So we wouldn't want to do that. I mean, if they're already using the service, we certainly don't want to ruin that for them. So this is giving us an opportunity to, the parents get a chance. Obviously, we want the parents to be able to opt in. We hope that all parents will choose to do that, because there's a lot of great services out there with that library card that we want them to have access to. And then the second piece that's really important is going in, and the school is very much interested in having us come in and talk to the teachers and educate them about the services that we have, so that they also know how to let the students know what they can get at. They're especially interested in Overdrive and Hoopla, to be able to get those materials downloadable.
Yes, something that the student can use from home to
Absolutely.
access all of these community resources.
Yep.
So we look forward to hearing
Yeah.
more about that.
Yes, I didn't want to put all of it in my
Yeah.
director's report, but I wanted to give you kind of a little bit more detail about sort of the steps that we've gone through, and we got really, really close, but it needs to be, the schools need to give the parents the opportunity to opt in, and where we sort of tripped over that was making sure that we had all of the materials that needed to go into the registration packs. And we just didn't get it done before school broke for the summer. So it was just not quite there yet. And so over the course of the summer, we sort of stepped back, regrouped, and we have a plan that is a little bit slower and gives us a little more time to ramp up and make sure that everybody is happy with how it gets executed, instead of doing a huge thing and then kind of cleaning up anything that we missed along the way. So I think it'll work out really well.
Okay, thank you. Very good. And now I will accept a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay, okay. The motion carries. We are adjourned at 7:21.